Imagine, if you will, a time when you were doing something that felt right, something you were passionate about, and someone, perhaps even without meaning to, casting a shadow over your efforts. They might have told you weren't good enough, or your actions were worthless, and in that moment a question seemed to form in the background of your mind. If others see me as terrible or evil, why bother? What's the point of trying? But here's something intriguing. What if that very belief, what if the very thought that made you hesitate, that stopped you in your tracks, is simply a fleeting pattern of thought, a pattern that with just a shift could open up new possibilities, possibilities you might not even have noticed were there before. You see, it's easy to get caught in the idea that we must gain respect from others, that without admiration or approval, there's little reason to move forward. But if you can step back for just a moment, you might realize this belief itself, this assumption that respect and admiration must come first. It's just one possibility, one interpretation of a much larger world of experience. In fact, it's possible by shifting your focus, by making a subtle change to your thinking. You could find the real power comes from within, that the effort you put into something, anything, can have meaning even if no one is there to praise it. Can you imagine that? Picture for a moment, just picture what it would feel like to act not because you need the world's approval, but because you simply know it's the right thing to do. Can you see how you might start to feel freer, more aligned with your true self, more authentic in every choice you make? It's almost like you've been given a key that unlocks a door you never knew was there before. What if, just what if, you started to think of respect and admiration as side effects, just like the rain that falls when the storm is over, not the goal, but the natural result of being the best version of yourself. Because when you think about it, no one can truly define your worth except for you. And by choosing to believe that your actions are valuable, whether they're recognized or not, you start to see how those actions can ripple outward, affecting not only yourself, but the world around you in ways you might not even expect. It's a subtle shift, really. And it all begins with one simple question. What if my actions have inherent value, regardless of what others think? Now let's explore that question further, as we begin to unravel a different belief. Imagine your actions, everything you do, every effort you make. They're not for the purpose of being seen, but for the purpose of simply being true to yourself. What might that do for you? How did it feel to shift from seeking approval to creating something meaningful? Can you see how that shift in the foundation of your approach to life changes everything? Isn't it interesting? When you start from within, your energy, your enthusiasm, your inner peace begins to radiate outwards. Without even trying, it's like planting a seed in the fertile soil of your mind. It doesn't need to ask for attention, it simply grows. And in growing, it attracts the bees, the birds, the sunlight. It's the natural law of growth, and the more you embrace this inner growth, the more naturally respect and admiration follow. But let's think about it even more deeply. Have you noticed how some people who seem unnoticed or even unappreciated, they continue to act with purpose and determination? It's almost as if they've discovered something that others haven't realized yet. They've found the secret. Their worth is not tied to others' opinions, but the deeper, intrinsic value they carry within themselves. You've experienced it, haven't you? That feeling when you do something for the joy of doing it. When the effort itself is the reward. It's almost as if you've unlocked something inside yourself. Something that was waiting for this moment of realization. And now, can you imagine, just imagine, what it would be like to operate from that place of knowing? To do things, not because you're seeking respect or admiration, but because you know that your actions have meaning in the grand tapestry of life. Can you feel the freedom in that? As you embrace this new perspective, as you internalize that your actions, they're valuable simply because you've chosen them, you may notice something incredible. The people who once doubted you, who once saw you as worthless, they may start to change their view, simply because you no longer need their validation to move forward. It's almost as if your inner certainty begins to create a new reality, a reality where respect and admiration flow to you naturally. And so, the more you give to yourself, the more you honour your own efforts, the more you notice the world around you shifts in ways that are almost magical. It's a dance, really. One where the more you give, the more you receive, but in ways you hadn't expected. It's a process of becoming, of being. And as you embrace this, you begin to notice just how naturally others are drawn to your authenticity, to your strength, to the power you hold within. Isn't it fascinating the way everything shifts? Just with a change in focus, just by realizing that respect and admiration, they aren't the end, but the beautiful results of a journey that begins within you. You can feel it, can't you? That inner shift, that understanding that, yes, your efforts are worthwhile, just because you're choosing to act. And now, from this moment on, with this new perspective, notice how things begin to unfold, how your confidence grows, how your actions feel more aligned, and how, piece by piece, you start to realize the truth. That your value is not dependent on others, but it's intrinsic. It builds into everything you do, and radiates outward to touch others in ways you've only begun to imagine. Just imagine that for a moment. So imagine that you're standing at the edge of a vast open landscape. It's as if you're at a doorway of an entirely new world, where everything you see is full of potential and possibility. And in this moment you're given a choice. You could step into this world knowing every action you take, every step you make, has inherent value. You could choose to believe that your worth is not defined by anyone else. The respect and admiration, they're not prerequisites for you to move forward, but rather the natural consequence of your own unique energy and authenticity. And as you stand there, you begin to feel the weight of old beliefs slowly lifting off you. Beliefs that told you that you had to earn respect first, that you had to prove your worth, or that only through the validation of others would you find meaning in your actions. But something is shifting. You start to sense those old beliefs. They're not truths. They're simply stories, ideas, constructs that you picked up along the way. And what if, just what if, that shift could make all the difference? What would happen if you let go of those beliefs, those old stories, and embrace something entirely new, something empowering? The truth is, you already have all the answers inside of you. You've always had them. Your actions, your intentions, your very being has value, whether anyone sees it or not. There's hidden power in the understanding that your worth is not conditional. In fact, every step you take forward, whether anyone acknowledges it or not, ripples out into the world and affects everything around you, almost like throwing a pebble into a still pond and watching the ripples spread out endlessly. Can you sense that subtle shift, that change from needing approval to simply being? It's almost as if, by letting go of that need for validation, you unlock something deep within you, a potential that was always there, waiting to unfold. And now, as you allow yourself to see it, you notice something remarkable. The more you let go of needing others to validate your actions, the more natural it feels to move forward, to create, to act. And what's even more fascinating is how, as you move forward with that confidence, with that deep knowing that your worth is inherent, the respect and the admiration you once sought from others starts to appear naturally. It's almost as if the more you embrace who you are, the more others are drawn to you. Not because you're trying to gain anything from them, but because your energy, your authenticity, it's become magnetic. It's as if you're effortlessly attracting the very things you once thought you had to strive for. And doesn't that feel liberating? To realize you don't have to chase after approval. You don't have to earn your worth. It's already there. In fact, it's been there all along, just waiting for you to remember it. But here's the beauty in it. This isn't just about acting as if your worth is innate. No, this is about aligning your inner world with that truth. It's about shifting your mindset from one of scarcity, where you feel like you need others' approval, to one of abundance, where you know that your actions already carry value, regardless of what others think. And the more you begin to align with that inner truth, the more you see how that truth shapes the world around you, how it effortlessly influences others, how it begins to change the very environment in which you live. And you might begin to wonder what happens when you stop looking for approval. What happens when you stop trying to prove your worth? Here's what happens. You unlock a new kind of freedom. You free yourself from the chains of needing others' opinions to validate your existence. You step into your power, and you allow yourself to be the person you've always been inside, unstoppable, authentic, and true to yourself. And now imagine for a moment, as you move through this world, that you're not just acting, but creating from the deepest place of knowing. Every action you take, it's imbued with purpose. Every step you make becomes a reflection of your deepest truth. And as you step forward into this space, the admiration, the respect, the validation, it all comes naturally, almost without effort, because it comes from the truth of who you are, not from seeking approval. This shift, this subtle, powerful shift, it happens when you begin to understand that your value is not tied to anyone's judgment or opinion. It simply is. It's like realizing the sun doesn't need anyone to tell it that it shines. It just shines. And in its shining, it creates warmth, it creates light, it creates growth. It doesn't have to ask for permission. And isn't it incredible when you step into that place of inner knowing, how everything begins to flow? The more you embrace your own worth, the more you start to notice how others respond to you. Not because you're seeking their approval, but because you're embodying a truth that's undeniable, that is magnetic. You become the living proof that actions, no matter how small, hold value in and of themselves. It's as if, in letting go of needing approval, you've tapped into a hidden resource of power that's always within your reach. Can you feel that now? That subtle change, that knowing deep within you, that your actions have value, not because of any external validation, but because they're true expressions of who you are. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply are. And the more you step into that truth, the more you begin to notice how the world around you shifts. How the respect and the admiration that once seemed out of reach now flow naturally, like a river that finds its course effortlessly, simply because it's meant to flow. So much as if your energy, your alignment with your own worth, is now creating a magnetic pull that draws people, opportunities and experiences towards you without even trying. Isn't it fascinating how by simply shifting your focus from seeking respect to being your true self, you unlock something extraordinary. You step into a place of power where your worth is self-evident. And in that place, everything you do becomes an act of creation, effortless, authentic, and full of possibility. And in that space, you don't have to do anything to earn respect, because it comes to you naturally, because you've already claimed your worth. And the world responds in kind. So now, as you move forward from this moment, notice how easy it becomes to act without the need for approval, how effortlessly it feels to create, to step into your power, knowing that your worth is undeniable, and how with every step you take, you begin to embody the truth that your value was never tied to anyone's opinion. It was always within you, and that, my friend, is the greatest power of all.